the Star Wars we were looking for.
You know, here on this channel, I have a deep love for Star Wars, and it runs deep, real deep. Now that Star Wars is run by Disney Corporation, do you hate Disney? How's it going, friends? Yes, we're going to talk about this topic. Star Wars, original trilogy, Clone Wars, First Order, X-Wing, I have it. It's a great game. All right, everyone, we're going to tackle this topic. And the topic is Star Wars Galaxy's Edge coming to Disney World. It's already opened in Disneyland to rave reviews. And when it first opened, they even had to do 4-hour pre-scheduled entrances to the park, that segment of the park, because there were so many people that wanted to come in to see Galaxy's Edge. Now, here's the deal. My wife and I are planning a trip in February to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disney World, Florida. Here's my plan. We're planning on flying down on a Monday, being in the park Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Universal Thursday, and flying home Friday. That way, here's my plan. During the week, it's not going to be as crowded. All the hubbub is going to be over with. Now, I think it's the third week of August this summer, 2019. It's going to officially open. And I'm hoping by the time we glide into February, it's going to be less congested. I have my list and I'm checking it twice. Disney Star Wars. Now we're going to talk about this, guys, because I want to see your comments below. There's no right or wrong answer. Don't be shy, because on my next video, or one of my next videos, we are going to go over the comments and I'm going to respond to the comments. We're going to discuss this, okay? I know it's out there, this hatred towards the new Star Wars, Disney Star Wars. And when it first was announced that George Lucasfilms was selling to Disney, the SHIT hit the fan, folks. So, here's the thing you gotta understand. Long before he sold it to Disney, especially in Disneyland, Lucas was already working with Disney. The collaboration they did with George Lucas back in the 80s was called Star Tours. Now, I never got to go, but I'm just trying to say that there was a collaboration that had been going on for years, and I think he was flirting all this time with either having Disney fund his movies or right out selling to Disney. We'll never really know, but I'm going to go through my list here and we're going to discuss this. We're going to work it out. We're not going to come to any conclusions, but everyone can vent their frustrations, if you have frustrations, towards Disney Star Wars. Okay, now here's my personal opinion. This is my personal take on things. We have 3 eras of Star Wars. We have the original 3 Star Wars. We have the Clone Wars Star Wars, which are the prequels from George Lucas. Then we get into Disney Star Wars. Now, here's where I'm coming from. As you saw earlier in my display case, I have some of the original action figures that I purchased at Children's Palace on Morris Road in the late 70s from Children's Palace. Yes, I even have the Boba Fett. You had to get the special proof of purchase seals and you had to mail them in, and they sent you your Boba Fett before in Empire Strikes Back, where Boba Fett appeared. Okay, so here's the thing. What do I think about the new Star Wars? The Disney Star Wars, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it a 6.5. And here's why. Point 1, there's a horrible storyline. Horrible storyline, and this also ties back into when George Lucas did the prequels to New Hope. The storyline didn't really work that well. It didn't connect the dots. Now, for those of you that were standing in line in late May 1977 My best friend and I rode our bikes up to the cinema to purchase tickets because we had heard the line was so long. Now, those of you that may be from the Columbus, Ohio area in the late 70s will know this place. It was called Raintree Cinema. Remember the old Raintree Cinema? State Route 161. At that time, they had three cinemas. They used to have one, then they went to two, then they went to three. And when Star Wars premiered at the Raintree Cinema, it was in all three cinemas at the same time to handle the load, because when we rode our bikes up there that day with our paper route money, yes, back in the day, we used to deliver newspapers for extra money, and I actually made I made some pretty good coin delivering newspapers. Anyway, we got up there and the line wrapped around the building like 3 times, and that was just to get tickets for the later showings, right? This was a big deal. I was like, what is this all about? We stood in line, we got our tickets. We went back later that evening, we stood in line, we got in, and I gotta say, this movie made such a huge impression on me. It was unreal, the impression this thing. To this day, it makes an everlasting impression on me. Now here's the thing. How does this tie into wargaming? This definitely ties into gaming because it evokes imagination. It evokes fascination. It is something that was very special. I remember when I walked out of the cinema, I knew my life had changed forever. With science fiction, with Dungeons and Dragons, later that came shortly after that. And this is what the gaming world is all about. Wargaming, miniature gaming, is our sense of imagination, the ability to take us away from our daily routines and our job responsibilities, our family responsibilities, where we can actually immerse ourselves in another place and use strategy to have fun. Now here's some of the notes that I wrote down. Now, why is this a horrible storyline? Snoke. Who is Snoke? Where did Snoke come from? This is ridiculous. It wasn't in the first 3 movies. It wasn't in the George Lucas prequel movies. But all of a sudden, there was Snoke. Who was Snoke? Seriously? Midichlorians. Where the hell did that come from? You had the Force, and it flowed through you, and he was strong with the Force, and all of a sudden there's midichlorians. Right? Oh, that one. When I'm down here in my studio in the wintertime, I will rewatch all the Star Wars films. I have all of them, even the new Star Wars films, all on my Amazon Prime. And I gotta tell you, those George Lucas prequels, those are hard to watch. And every time I watch them, I find more flaws in the storyline. Whereas the original trilogy, that storyline went right along. It was like a puzzle, and it fit. I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't know what George Lucas was thinking. I guess we'll never know. But also the CGI was, it wasn't that great. Okay. So, I got that off my chest. The storyline was also in the prequels with George Lucas was muddled with, all of a sudden Anakin is on Tatooine and here's C-3PO half finished in his bedroom, right? And then in New Hope there's C-3PO on Tatooine. You thought he would have mentioned it, that he'd been there before. Right? That he was in the same system, something. So that's just one example how the storyline does not flow along. And then with the prequels, he throws things in there that didn't really add up. Okay? And this is a common theme that we're starting to see in the new Disney films. Now if you notice, after Last of the Jedi and this new film that's supposed to be the last part, 9 in the New Hope series. This is going to be the last one. After that, they put a full stop the production of further movies because Solo flopped. Last Jedi had mediocre results, so they know there's a problem. So they're going to have to do something. We'll talk about that later. New character development for the new Disney movies is very weak. A lot of the new characters they're bringing in are social justice warrior approved. This really irks me. I want to go and I want to be taken away. I want to go to another place when I'm at a movie, especially a Star Wars movie. I don't need social agendas. I don't need political agendas shoved down my throat. Feminism, basic social justice warrior bullshit. I'm going to say it. It's bullshit shoved down my throat. Okay? I don't need it. I don't want it. Sorry, Disney. This is a big negative on your legacy. In The Last Jedi, and this came from Mark Hamill's mouth and then they shut him up. He was saying how he didn't like how he was being told to act out this part because it was out of Luke Skywalker's character. And he kept telling him this isn't what Luke Skywalker would do in this situation or that situation because he was so out of character. The movie was very disjointed. That's the best word I can come up with. Now we're going to tie this back into gaming again. Star Wars Legion, and it is a game that we are going to do here in the studio in the Gamers Den, and I'm looking forward to it. But you notice that Star Wars Legion started with the New Hope trilogy action figures or miniatures. Now they've just announced recently that here this summer they're going to be coming out with the Clone Wars expansion onto Star Wars Legion. Interesting. We're going to have the robots. We're going to have probably Jar Jar Binks. Yes, Jar Jar Binks. We can't get into everything on this video, guys. There's so much material to cover. There's so many discrepancies. There's so many things that irk some of the old fans like me who are literally the 12-year-old kids standing in line for tickets in 1977. So I guess that's where I'm going with this. And this is another analogy to miniature gaming. And that is the old stuff. That was my generation. With the Clone Wars trilogy, the prequels, that was for the other generation. This newer stuff, that's for the new generation. That's the only way I can explain it. They're trying to, just like with some of the miniature games, Flames of War, they're trying to bring in a new audience. They're trying to appeal to the new audience. And I get that. I understand. I have watched the films. I did enjoy them somewhat. Now, I did go to Rogue One when it first came out. My son and I went to lunch. We went to see Rogue One. I fell asleep twice. Here's what I like about the Disney Star Wars films. The visuals are great. The camera work is amazing. The cinematography is spectacular. The CGI, the special effects are amazing. The battle scenes are cool. That's what I enjoy about the new Disney Star Wars films. But then when you bring in the storyline flaws, the character flaws, the disjointed story, it really just doesn't cut it. We're going to tie this back in with the new Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Do I want to go? Of course I do. I've got to see the Millennium Falcon in all of its glory standing before me and do the ride. Now there's two rides. Now the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run is open now, and by the time I go there with my wife, they're gonna have another ride. It's called Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. Resistance. What the hell happened to the Empire and the Rebellion? Was that not good enough? I thought that was great. Now we have First Order, the Resistance. What the hell is this all about? Couldn't they just kept it the Empire? Couldn't they just kept it the Rebellion? Am I gonna build a lightsaber for $200? Probably. Am I gonna buy a $100 R2-D2 droid? Maybe. Okay, so I'm gonna have this new studio. I'm gonna have this new gaming space. I have to have some things to put on the wall. And amongst all the historical things I want to mount to the wall, like sabers and knives and guns, we're probably going to have to put a lightsaber up there, right? So here's the deal. I want to see your comments below. I want to hear your feelings on this topic. Don't be shy. Say what you feel. If you're like me, old timer, and you were standing in line in 1977, let me know your experience and the things that happened to you after you left the cinema. And if you're one of the new early 20s, mid 20s, Gen Zers, technically I'm a Gen Xer, right? I was born in 65, so technically I'm a Gen Xer. I am not a boomer. I want to hear the comments. Like I said, the next video on this topic, I'm going to go over the comments. So it'll be interesting to see what you all have to say. I also would like to hear from any of you who have been out at Disneyland and seen the new Galaxy's Edge. And what were your impressions? What were your thoughts? What did or didn't do it for you? I just want to be in front of that Millennium Falcon with my wife and get that picture to put on the wall out here in the new studio and just experience it, because let's face it, even though it's the New Order, it's the newer themed moon or whatever the place that it is, it's a lot like Tatooine. It'd be like being on Tatooine, and you know I'm headed to that cantina, and you know I'm gonna have me some super fun drinks. How many of you are playing Legions or X-Wing Armada? I'd like to know that below too, because it's coming to this channel as soon as the studio's done, and it's gonna be awesome. Remember, hit like, hit subscribe, hit that like button, smash it down, smash it. All right guys, let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you next time. This is Alan Smith signing out.